So quickly, the episode titles: Hellfire Club. We already knew them. Vecna's Curse. Very interesting. The Monster and the Superhero. Dear Billy.
That's gonna be a tearjerker,
Oh yeah.
100%
The Nina
for sure.
Project. The Dive. The Massacre at Hawkins Lab. Papa. And the piggyback. Now, earlier, I was looking at the episode titles, and I wrote this down. I wrote down all the episode titles and like little descriptions of what I think they could mean to sort of save
Yeah.
us time. So I'm not just like, And if you have any ideas of what some of them might mean, then feel free to tune in. So, episode one, chapter one, sorry, Hellfire Club. So I'm thinking for this one, it's obviously like a we're back kind of episode, like season two and three's first episode have been, where it's like reestablishing the characters, establishing new characters and locations. We'll see what the characters have been up to. Obviously, we introduced to the Hellfire Club and Hawkins. So, like usual, I'm assuming that this episode will most likely set up like a mystery in small pieces and end on like the cliffhanger of like, oh my gosh, what was that? Gotta watch the next one. Episode two, Vecna's Curse. I'm guessing this is most likely related to Victor Creel's storyline, and I did some researching on Vecna, and also Vecna is probably what they're going to be calling the monster. But I did some research on it, and Vecna was apparently born a human who like achieved godhood through some like really weird
Dang.
magical nonsense that I cannot
Godhood.
remember. There are like a couple ways that they could go with Vecna, where maybe Vecna would be like the first experiment, so like 001, maybe
Mm.
like
That
who
that would be a really cool
who
idea.
maybe like lost control in a fit of rage, achieved some
Same.
greater power. And I think that was actually in that comment in our last video
Yeah.
that I think he said that that maybe 001 or just one is Vecna. He maybe created the upside down. I like that possibility. So Vecna could possibly be like the force that tormented Victor Creel, maybe controlled him, or maybe just
True.
tormented him, leading it up to him murdering his family. The monster and the superhero, this is what like okay, there are a lot of these episode titles are very confusing, and like some of them I had
I
a
feel
very hard
like
time writing a lot of like descriptions
yeah,
down for
yeah.
them.
I feel like this season has a lot of like kind of ambiguous titles that are just kind of like Papa, like
Yeah,
okay,
you
thank
that you
you.
can draw a lot of conclusions from, and they could either be completely right or completely wrong.
Or you just draw no conclusions at all because you're like,
I
what
don't
the
know what
heck
that
is a
means.
what was the piggyback rider or something?
It was
Like
piggyback, the piggyback ride. I think it was, yeah, it was just the piggyback.
the piggyback rider.
The monster and the superhero, unless if it's like a literal monster that's being referred to, the only like character that I can think of that has been referred to as a monster due to my most recent rewatch today is 11, because in season one, episode six, she's like the gate. I opened it. I'm the monster, right? That and the title of that episode six of season one, is literally the monster. So like that could possibly be related to 11, but that seems too vague for
No,
me to be certain, is what I'm thinking, because like
she
it's like
she because she
it's
like
too
said it
vague.
one time, right?
Well, yeah, but that was also the title of that episode, the monster, and she went, I'm the monster. That she said it one time, but that was the title of that episode.
Oh, it was. So they
Yeah,
did another title with the same thing. Hmm.
that's like the only reason why I made that connection, but
Monsters.
again,
Okay.
it's too vague for me to be
It's pretty
certain.
vague.
That was just a slight like conclusion that I went, oh, that maybe. But but
Yeah.
for the superhero, the only character that I can think of that has been called a superhero is Bob, and he died. So like I don't know about that one.
Rip.
But like rip off. This one maybe could be related to the California ones, because the first one based on Vecna and Hellfire Club, unless if Vecna is like a universal all like three to four storyline related monster, which I think it might only be Hawkins related. So maybe Monster and the superhero has something to do in California. Who knows? Next one, Dear Billy. Now this one surprised me because I was really not expecting like Billy to be referenced like
Like
at all in an episode title alone.
shoot.
The first thing that comes to mind with this one is Max dealing with Billy's death, but I'm not sure like what the plot significance would be for it to be like the title of the episode.
She's like, who cares?
Who cared about that guy? He was really scary, even
Who
when he
cares? That
wasn't
just
possessed.
what does that have to do with the plot?
Yeah, says Max. What does this have to do with the plot? So, like, I'm guessing Max's character arc for the season will be her mourning Billy's death and feeling kind of conflicted about it because, like, he treated her poorly. It was very mean and stuff. But like, and as you can see in the end of season 3, she was like really shaken up about it. I feel like again, this could totally be a reach, and I could totally just be going too in depth about it. But I feel like keeping it as grounded as possible. I feel like this could possibly maybe be an outcome. Maybe she feels guilty about the whole situation because in season 2, episode 2, whenever like Billy's driving Max home. What are you impressed with my research?
No. I love the like quoting of specific episodes.
In season 2, episode 2, like whenever Billy is driving Max home, they're talking about being in Hawkins. And she's like, "Oh,
you're a freak. You freak. I hate you. You're a freak.
I wouldn't even be sad if you got killed by a tentacle monster."
You freak.
In this scene, they're talking about being in Hawkins, and Max is like, "We're stuck here." And then Billy goes like, "Yeah, whose fault is that?"
It's just we're stuck here. So
You're right. We're stuck here. And whose fault is that?
And Max is like, "It's yours." And Billy gets like angry with her. He's like, "Oh, like it's your fault."
You say it's my fault?
no.
You know whose fault it is.
Maybe it's somehow in some way that will be explained in season 4 or like hinted at. Maybe it was Max's fault that they moved to Hawkins for some reason, because like if she was the reason that they moved there, then she's somehow responsible for Billy's death, because if they were never in Hawkins because of her, they never would have gotten involved in any of this stuff with like the main characters and stuff. So like maybe possibly she feels guilty about it, and that's like adding to more of her like internal conflict about the situation where she feels like it's her fault. I'm thinking Max will probably be kind of like distant from like Mike, Lucas, and Dustin, or maybe like only really talking or hanging out with one of them. I can see like maybe Max and Lucas going through like a rough patch and they're not really talking to each other. Maybe Max is like talking to Dustin, maybe because like Eleven's not there and they were like friends in season 3, and Mike is in California. Maybe she's only really talking to Dustin or something like that. I would honestly really like to see a Max and Dustin dynamic where like maybe she talks to him about what she's going through. Dustin's like helpful towards her, or maybe if like she doesn't like completely confide in him, they just hang out more or something like that. Anyways, like concerning the actual title, like Dear Billy, maybe Max's character arc is that she's pretty shaken up about Billy's death. She doesn't really know how to deal with it. Maybe she's seeing like a counselor at school or something. And like I thought of this, I made this connection. You know how like whenever like people like lose a family member or a loved one, they'll like write like a letter to them for like closure, and they'll write basically like a letter to that person listing out their like feelings and like how they feel about the situation, like regret or
Their
like
grievances.
their grievances, and like you know how that person
my
made
boy.
them feel. Rip my boy Billy. I don't know if that's a reach, but just the fact that it says Dear Billy, maybe Max writes like a letter to Billy for closure or something like that, and it's like another like emotional letter reading scene that'll reveal some background for Billy and Max's past. I don't know. That just was the only thing I can think of that would be like grounded enough to where it could happen. I don't know. It seems like too in depth to happen, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense where like that's something that like people do where they'll like write a letter to like a lost one. I don't know, maybe. Next episode, the Nina Project. So like, okay, this one really confused me.
Who the heck is Nina?
I did some Google deep dives, and after searching stuff along the lines of like Nina Project, Nina Stranger Things, Nina 80s, Nina 80s Russian, like, I actually stumbled across the name of like Nina something with a K, and it was like a Russian woman who claimed to have had psychic powers. And while that could be unrelated to Stranger Things, a woman named Nina who's Russian and being claimed to have psychic powers checks off a lot of boxes in my mind.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, maybe that might be a stretch, but like, I don't know.
Well, shoot.
It's more than likely a stretch, but still, I'm just putting it out there. Next one, The Dive. Now, like half of the titles are really confusing as they could mean literally anything. But I'm going to take just another shot in the dark and say that this could possibly relate to the shot of Steve underwater in the sneak peek that was released a couple months ago. Like, maybe maybe that like
keep
maybe
forgetting
the dive
that there's all that other stuff.
Maybe the dive literally represents Steve having to go underwater to obtain something or find a clue that like is related to like the bigger picture or something. I could totally see a scene where like maybe it's like a group, like they're in the group, like, okay, who's got to do it? And it's like, oh, some like maybe they draw straws or do some other random thing, and then it's like a really dramatic thing of Steve, and it's like, oh no, and it's like,
dang it.
It does that cut like next scene. The Massacre at Hawkins Lab. Now this one I was like, when I saw it, because that's an intriguing one. So I feel like we're gonna see a flashback to like an incident that happened at Hawkins Lab years ago, because like again, it's been close in season 2, so we'll probably see some like really dark and tragic event that occurred probably before the first season, because like we didn't hear or see anything like any massacre happen in between the events of seasons 1 and 2, aside from like the Demodogs in season 2 and stuff. But like we saw that, and that wasn't the massacre at Hawkins Lab. You know, my guess is that it involves one of the experiments, possibly one losing control of like their powers and in the process killing a majority of the other subjects.
Honestly, I do think that it's probably something before the events of season 1.
Yeah.
And because hold on, let me go back to that other video.
The lab one.
Oh yeah, this one.
Honestly,
I feel like this one is probably going to be the one relating to that episode.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it could be one losing control and killing other test subjects, or and another possibility. I'm pretty sure I thought of this months ago. If you go back on the Stranger Things channel and look on like the video before the 11 Are You Listening teaser, there's a little thing like Hawkins control room, and you can see in that it's like screens that flash on and off, and you can see the playroom that the kids were in with all the toys and stuff, but it's like covered in, it's like there's blood on the walls and there's blood everywhere and stuff. So like that, I'm guessing, is like the Massacre of Hawkins Lab. But another thing, I feel like based on the use of the word massacre, a massacre usually is like deliberate, right? That's like a deliberate thing, unless if like one of the test subjects deliberately just killed like everybody. wait, but also Brenner somehow survived even that, if it was like a test subject losing control and literally killing everybody but him, you know? Like that's another thing. Another possibility that I thought of is that maybe, because like I've read in different places, like just like different bits and pieces of like Brenner's like intentions or something like that. Maybe there's a possibility that maybe Brenner, I mean, this is pretty dark, but like maybe they just freaking like the other test subjects are like worthless to Hawkins Lab, so they just kill them because they have 11, right?
With
11
the 8 ball.
With the 8 ball, signs point to yes. So you know, maybe they freaking kill the kids because, you know, they're proving worthless compared to 11. 11's able to spy on the Russians during the Cold War. They're not able to do that. Maybe 11 is more useful than all the other ones. Maybe they kill them. Like, maybe that's a possibility. Like, because again, in the 11 Are You Listening teaser, Brenner goes in and he goes like, I have something very special planned for you. Like, what else could be very special planned for them unless he's killing them all? Now, that's a stretch, but still.
It's pretty dark.
But, you know, who knows? Maybe they'll literally just kill all these test subjects because, you know, they're not as good as 11 or something like that. Because again, the shot is literally Brenner going in the teaser, Brenner going into that room, and then it's a pan to a door with 11 on it, and she's presumably in there. So like maybe they just killed those kids. Like they have 11.
Dark.
But everybody's saying, all the cast and crew is saying that like this is the darkest season yet. So like
but they said it for like they always say that.
They say that every season, unless if this one is just like fully like, oh my gosh, they literally just they just did that.
They
Dark.
just killed a bunch of kids. Dang.
I mean, maybe. Who knows? That could be something that happens. I'm putting that out there for the massacre of Hawkins Lab. Then the next one, Papa. For this one and the last one, I'm curious if they're going to be primarily flashback based. I mean, we'll see, but like,
Yeah.
I feel like these last two might be bit more flashback based in bits and pieces, and we'll sort of like if Brenner's alive, which I'm pretty sure he is, we'll probably see like in the episode Papa, we'll probably see like the big return of Brenner. So like, but for if they're doing full on flashbacks, I'm assuming that we'll probably see more of Brenner's past in Hawkins lab, and like maybe it'd be kind of interesting to see some scenes from season 1 of like him experimenting on 11 from like his perspective, because like we've seen those scenes from 11's point of view. It's like from a point of view, and the tone is like fear and trauma and stuff like that. But like it would be interesting to see his point of view, like gathering an outlook or getting like an outlook on his true intentions behind it all, like I said, I imagine this will probably, and plus like that's episode 9 out of or 8 out of 9, so like I'm assuming that like that's going to feature his big return, because why else would it just be like flashbacks if it's like 8 out of 9?
Yeah.
Like that's before the big finale. So like,
True. That's that's definitely true.
I feel like that's why he has to be alive and back, unless if I'm just completely wrong, but still. But I imagine him like returning, and unless if he's like completely unscarred by the Demogorgon encounter, it'd be kind of cool to see like him return, but he looks all torn up and like kind of creepily cool looking after like he was like presumably attacked by the Demogorgon.
Yeah.
And then the piggyback, I have no idea what this means.
Yeah.
And then I always like in these title teasers when it's like in the spring of 1986, the adventure continues. It's always like, oh my gosh. It was good to hear the Stranger Things theme again, because we haven't heard it in quite a few of the teasers. So that was kind of cool. I noticed also, did you notice that it said a Netflix series at the beginning? Like it's always a Netflix original series. I don't know why. I was just like, hold on, where's the original?
Is it not original anymore?
But summer 2022 though, I was fully expecting like spring 2022 or something, unless if they are just associating like April or March with like summer, which it's not. But please. Summer, like really? No earlier than that. I imagine like post-production's taking a while or something, but still. And the very last thing that was revealed for Stranger Things Day was the cast in their season 4 outfits, which I think looks really nice. Again, I was saying in our last theory video or speculation video that it looks like they're bringing back the more grounded wardrobe of seasons 1 and 2, while also having little like slivers of season 3, like specifically in like Dustin's like button down shirt and like 11's dress and stuff like that, sort of having like little very colorful aspects to it, while also seeming more like, I don't even know the right word, but just more grounded, I guess, like something somebody might actually wear instead of like Old Navy commercial in season 3. Do you think Lucas could still be a jock, as I said in our like very first theory video? I mean, he got thrown a basketball and there's like camera shutters. Maybe he's like on the basketball team or something.
And the moms or whatever.
The mom groups, jocks and mom groups. Wait, maybe that's why Lucas, or like I was saying, like Lucas and Max might be going through like a rough patch. Maybe like he's on the back, because like they threw him a basketball and then there's camera shutters, and it's like maybe he's on the basketball team this season. Maybe.
Yeah. True.
And then like that'll like cause some like distance between Max and Lucas and Dustin, because it's like, oh, I still like Dungeons and Dragons, and oh, you're different and you're not hanging out with us as much. But maybe.
Stranger Things, please make my theories come true.
Stranger Things, please reshoot the season and make our theories a thing. I also realized that Erica's here. Like, I have no idea what Erica's doing this season. 11 looking like a mini Winona Ryder over here.
Totally.
Hold on. Look at this. Look at Finn Wolfhard. Look at him before he jumps, and then look at him after he jumps. Why does he look completely different after he jumps? Like his face changes.
It's that hair, bro.
Yeah, it's that hair.
It's the bangs. It makes his face look shorter.
That's true. That's true. That's what it is. That's literally what it is. Oh my gosh.
It's 100%.
I love how Dustin's shirt looks like it's from Old Navy, the button down. That's totally an Old Navy like 80 shirt.
Or Nordstrom rack.
Okay, anyways, so that was pretty much all the things that were released during Stranger Things Day. I was pretty satisfied with this, considering that like we usually don't get a whole lot. It's usually just like fan videos and stuff like that. It's like, oh, happy Stranger Things Day, here's my cosplay or something like that. But like but I was pretty satisfied with this Stranger Things Day. Really happy that we're getting closer to the release of season 4, especially because
Finally.
we're at the end of the teasers, 4 teasers. We've been getting more content more consistently, so the marketing campaign has definitely started up with their teasers and trailers, so that's really awesome. I'm really excited for season 4. If you have any idea of what might happen in season 4, what the episode titles might mean, feel free to comment, because a lot of what you guys might think is probably way more accurate than what we think.
Yeah, for all you people who have got much more well thought out stuff than are just little rants and appreciation
Yeah,
and our best theories we could come up with on the spot, just let us know.